If you will take a walk with me, I will show you what may be the best presidential answer in history, and demonstrates why Kamala Harris may become one of our best presidents.
Over here, Yvette Castillo, she lives here in Vegas. Nuestra siguiente pregunta es Yvette Castillo de Las Vegas. She wants to share a personal story, Madam Vice President.
Hi. Buenas noches, Vicepresidenta.
Good evening,
Harris.
Madam Vice
Usted y
President
yo
Harris.
tenemos algo en común. You and I have something in common. We both lost our mother.
Oh.
And I'm an American citizen, born to two Mexican parents. They were here before I was even born. They've worked their whole lives. But with the way immigration laws change over time, I was only able to help my dad get his legal status squared away, but not my mom.
She handles this beautifully.
My mom passed away just 6 weeks ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There's a lot of little details in here, and she throws in,
And she was never, ever able to get the type of care and service that she needed or deserved. Sorry.
Take your
Take
time.
your time.
Take your time.
but now we have the question, and it's the big question for a room full of largely immigrants.
So my question for you is, what are your plans, or do you have plans to support that subgroup of immigrants who have been here their whole lives, or most of them, and have to live and die in the shadows?
How do you support immigrants who have to hide in the shadows?
I'm so sorry for you.
1. Let's talk about your mom.
Thank you.
You must remember your mother as she lived.
Mm-hmm.
I have enough of a feeling about your strength that it probably comes from her to know she would want you to remember her as she lived and not as she died, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's move on to your question.
So, let's take it one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You will often see a politician do one of these or the other, either take the emotional route or the question route, and not hit both. This is stunning and quite impressive.
Your parents were here for years, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as an attorney, the next thing she does is confirm the facts. She's going to go through and lay out a fact pattern. She's also framing them in a way that works for her narrative. But, I mean, they're the fact.
And your father was able to earn his pathway to citizenship, but your mother was not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to assume it's because part of the problem is that we do have a broken immigration system.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact pattern will be, 1, your dad got citizenship. 2, your mom did not get citizenship. 3, your mom did not get citizenship because our system is broken. Those are the facts as laid out. Now, she will go into why the system remains broken, and she will lay out 2 reasons. Note that the most recent bill that did not go through would not play as well at the beginning here. It was really about border security, which is not going to be very empathetic. She's holding that one for later. She's going to start with the bill that they put forward in 2020.
It being the case that even though when we were elected in 2020, and the first bill we offered Congress, before we did the bipartisan infrastructure bill, before we did the work on gun safety, before we did the work on investing in chips and science, the first bill we offered within hours of taking the oath was a bill to fix the immigration system, including creating a comprehensive, earned pathway to citizenship for hardworking people. And it was not taken up.
And now she returns to the facts as laid out at the beginning, which were that the daughter pointed out that the mother could not get medical care because she wasn't a citizen.
And now we look at a situation where people are suffering. The reality is that in terms of having access to health care, had your mother been able to gain citizenship, she would have been entitled to health care that may have alleviated her suffering and yours. And this is one example of the fact that there are real people who are suffering because of an inability to put solutions in front of politics.
This is a really tough thing to have remembered, and the fact that she held on to this is really impressive. It may not sound impressive to you, but with all of the stuff flying past her, for her to have held on to this piece and slipped it back in is chef's kiss. So, 2020 bill was denied. People have suffered as a result of that for the last few years. We wanted to fix it before it wasn't fixed. Now we'll talk about the more recent one.
I mean, an example of this on immigration policy is that as it relates to what we need to do to strengthen our border. A bipartisan group of members of Congress, including one of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came together with one of the strongest border security bills we've had in decades.
Number 2, we tried to pass a second border protection bill. This one not quite as friendly, it's more about border protection. Border protection doesn't quite fit the narrative of getting her mom health care as well. So how does she spin this?
And it included 1,500 more border agents to go to the border to help those hardworking folks who are working around the clock. The border agents supported the bill. It included more resources to stem the flow of fentanyl, which is killing people of every background in every region of our country.
Well, it would have brought more people working on the border. That would have stopped fentanyl from coming in, and that is hurting everyone. She points out that it's hurting people in all sorts of different demographics, including the demographic here in the room. She points out that it would have given more resources to fight transnational criminals.
It would have allowed us to have more resources to take on transnational criminal organizations.
By the way, have I mentioned that I used to be a prosecutor and that my opponent is a felon? How convenient that this comes up in this narrative.
I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations.
And which cartels did I prosecute when I was a prosecutor? Because she was in Southern California, the cartels that would have been relevant to the people in this room.
From the Guadalajara cartel to the Sinaloa cartel.
And Trump sunk it.
And Donald Trump found out about that bill, realized it would be a solution, and told them not to put it on the floor for a vote because he would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
And then she points out real leaders solve problems, which is what she wants to do here.
And again, Enrique, we were talking about it. In terms of real leadership is about solving problems on behalf of the people.
And now back to the empathy.
And I'm so sorry for what you've been through.
I'm so sorry about your mom.
I'm so sorry for what you've been through. And
an element of perfection. My mom was also an immigrant.
You know, my mother came to the United States at the age of 19.
We are similar in that way.
She was by herself. Came alone by herself. She raised my sister and me, Maya.
She loved me as your mom loved you.
And I know what it is like to have a hardworking mother who loves you and to lose that. But I know that her spirit is alive. I know her spirit is alive.
Now, why don't we speak her name?
And will you tell me her name, and let's speak her name?
There are cultures in the world, such as the Aboriginals, that consider speaking the name of the dead to be problematic. It so happens that the Mexicans are not one of them. They consider that to be how you keep someone alive forever. Her cultural literacy here is perfect.
Maria Dolores Figueroa.
Maria Dolores? Mm-hmm. Okay, we speak her name, okay?
Yes.
She knew exactly what
Muchas
to
gracias,
say.
Yvette.
This is a
Thank you so much,
masterclass.
Madam Vice
This is
President.
empathy. This is policy. This is everything we need, all at once. This is our next president.